Hey guys, this is Chetan for Gizmo Times, and this is a comparison of the Xiaomi Mi 10i and the Moto G 5G. Basically, two of the best smartphones under 25,000 right now because of the fact that these come with the future-proofed connectivity options. That's 5G connectivity on both of them, having the same chipset, that's Qualcomm Snapdragon 750 G on both the devices. So the Moto G 5G was basically the first one in the market to have this 750G, but now Xiaomi has brought in the same option. And interestingly, the price also is the same for the base variant. So you have 6 GB RAM, 64 GB storage for 20,999, while it's 6 plus 128 for 20,999. But in the end, if you go with the 6 plus 128 GB option here, the pricing would match if you go with those bank offers. So in the end, I would compare the 6 plus 128 GB option on both the devices so that we get a fair comparison. So we are talking about the exact same price here if we consider those bank options. And now let's talk about what all the two phones offer, and we'll also do a quick speed test, so you'll have to stay till the end to understand whether the Xiaomi Mi 10i is a better choice or the Moto G 5G with the stock Android is a good option in this price. Starting with the design itself, you can see that this comes with a glass back, and that's a kind of a frosted glass, and it has a gradient design which actually looks pretty cool. We are in some artificial light conditions, so you don't really see those colors here pretty well. But on the other side, the Moto G 5G has a pretty plain and subtle design with that cross lines kind of a design, and you have the fingerprint sensor on the back of it, while the Xiaomi Mi 10i has the fingerprint sensor on the side of the phone. On the front with the displays, if we talk about the display sizes, the Xiaomi Mi 10i has a 6.67-inch display, while on the other side the Moto G 5G has a 6.7-inch. So there's no huge difference in the sizing there. Both have the same 1018 to 2400 pixels of screen resolution, and along with that, one of the major differences here is that the Xiaomi Mi 10i has a 120Hz display. So the refresh rate of the display is quite high, and it's almost the double obviously. So whenever you want to have a faster reading or a faster navigation, you can switch to 120Hz. Of course, that would end up using some extra battery, but in the end the experience gets better. So that's where the Xiaomi Mi 10i has an advantage with the display, and not just that advantage, there's also Gorilla Glass 5 protection on the Mi 10i, while it's Gorilla Glass 3 on the Moto G 5G. So the protection as well is better here, and the glass back on the Xiaomi Mi 10i is protected with Gorilla Glass 5. So that's another advantage. Now the processor or the power of these devices. So we'll directly jump into the benchmarks to show you what are the differences in the scores. So of course we can see that there's the same chipset working here, but there's no huge difference in the Antutu scores. So one of the major differences here, if you take a clear look at it, a closer look at it, is that you see higher CPU and GPU scores on the Moto G 5G, but the UX score or the user interface or the experience score is pretty low when compared to the UX score on the Xiaomi Mi 10i. So almost a 9,000 point difference. And with the UI, the features given in the UI are all dependent on what the user expects or needs. So if you go into the settings, you will take a look at a huge number of additional features on the Mi 10i with that MIUI 12.0.4. But that is not given on the Moto G 5G. Obviously, that is because of the stock Android. But stock Android gives you all the possibilities for doing whatever you want from your own side. So in the end, again, it depends on the user choices. There are many users who don't like MIUI for the fact that it comes with ads and everything that is unnecessary. There's a lot of bloatware as well. But the Moto G 5G has a much cleaner interface and a customizable interface. In the end, I would say if you are okay with the MIUI having its own features and offering you those, you can go with MIUI, or in the end, it's again a user choice. So stock Android is what I have seen people prefer a lot, but that's a completely user-based experience or a user-based preference. Now moving on with the cameras. So the cameras here are something where the Xiaomi Mi 10i clearly takes the lead. It is a quad camera setup versus a triple camera setup, but not about the number of cameras at all, because the Xiaomi Mi 10i has a 108 MP HM2 sensor, one of the very new sensors. Actually, the first smartphone in India to have that sensor is this one, and this has an f1.8 aperture, and it's a 26mm lens. The same 26mm is offered on this one as well, but it's a 48 megapixel camera on the Moto G 5G. So the primary camera or the primary imagery is probably going to be better on the Xiaomi Mi 10i because of that sensor itself. But alongside that, there's an 8 megapixel wide angle camera on both of them, and then there's a 2 megapixel macro camera on both of them, while the Xiaomi Mi 10i offers a 2 megapixel megapixel extra depth sensor on the back of the phone. On the front you have a 16 megapixel selfie camera on both the devices, and if you take a look at it, you can see that it's the punch hole display on both of them, while the camera size seems a bit more on the Moto G 5G. And if you take a look at the display as well, the bezels or the borders are thicker on the Moto G 5G when compared to the Xiaomi Mi 10i. With the battery, at least with the percentage or the capacities of the battery, we can say that it's better on the Moto G 5G only by a little margin. It's 5000 mAh on the Moto G 5G when compared to the 4820 mAh on the Xiaomi Mi 10i. But the Mi 10i has a 33 watt fast charging support, the video of which is already live. You can go check out how much time it takes to charge the phone fully from 0 to 100%. But the battery, again, the usage and everything is what matters when you try to talk about the battery life. So we cannot obviously judge the phones directly based on the capacities, but fast charging is going to be an additional advantage on the Xiaomi Mi 10i. Now, with the other options or the other features, you can clearly see on the top there is a IR blaster on the Mi 10i, while there are secondary microphones on both the smartphones, and the Mi 10i comes with the stereo speakers. So while there's no stereo speakers on the Moto G 5G, it's a single speaker towards the bottom. But here on the Mi 10i, you have a bottom speaker as well as a top speaker in the earpiece area. So that's an advantage of having the dual speakers, and they both have 5G. There's no issue with the connectivity. There's no difference with the connectivity actually. And with the weight as well, it's only a 3 gram heavier on the Xiaomi Mi 10i. So no real difference in that as well. And now moving on to the major part, that's the speed test comparison, to show you what is the difference in the speeds of app loading, in the speeds of booting up. So first let's do the reboot speed test and see how much time it actually takes. So reboot, and 1, 2, 3, go. So the Moto G 5G actually took a second lesser to open the lock screen or reach the lock screen, so it's faster in that aspect. Now if we go into the options, let me now go into the options and turn off the auto brightness, and both the devices are on airplane mode and we have it on the same Wi-Fi network. Now we'll open a few applications in front of you to show you which one actually has a faster loading of apps, starting with the Android benchmark. So it's almost the same time for both of them. Now moving on to Netflix. Again, a bit faster on the Mi 10i, but not a huge difference anyway. With the Amazon, it takes up not only the app loading, but also with the internet usage because of the Amazon's content. Now going on to Prime Video. Again, almost the same, but the content loaded up faster on the Moto G 5G. Moving on to the next one, that's the Play Store. It's the same. Moving on to Facebook, it's faster on the Moto G 5G. Now with Twitter, again it's Moto G 5G loading it faster. So kind of we see that the Moto G 5G is loading up apps faster, even though it's the same 750G. Now moving on to Pubg Mobile. This will be interesting to see which one loads the game faster, and we hope or expect that the Moto G 5G loads it up faster based on what we have seen so far, because the CPU scores were better on Android benchmark, and that is what is being shown here. But now, right now what you're seeing is that the screen switching is faster on the Xiaomi Mi 10i. But what you've seen is clearly seen here is that the Moto G 5G actually has loaded up the game faster, but the compiling resources part is something that you see after sometimes when there's an update. So we'll have to once again load the game after we close it on the background, and we'll try it once again. So closing the app in the background on both the smartphones and again trying to open Pubg Mobile at the same time. 1, 2, 3, go. So this was what I was talking about. It's a bit faster on the Xiaomi Mi 10i because we have done this test earlier, and I had seen that the Moto G 5G is not as fast as the Mi 10i, but there was a update on the Mi 10i to 12.0.4. So after that, obviously I guess that's when the resources were being compiled once again. So now let's open speed test on both the devices, and we'll do the internet speed test on the two phones. It should be probably the same because of the modems that are used, the same Wi-Fi modem, obviously because of the chipset as well. So we are using a 100 Mbps connection, and on that The ping is 1 millisecond, the download speeds are 94.1, and it should be almost the same with the upload speed as well. Now, doing the same on the Moto G 5G. This is kind of weird to see that the speeds are quite lesser, but we'll try to do it once again, because that's the only option to check it out, whether there's an issue with the Wi-Fi connectivity on this one, or is there anything else. Because if we just have to confirm we are on the same network, right here on the same Wi-Fi network, and we'll have to do a retest on the Moto G 5G. So there is some issue. What you can see here clearly is that there is some issue with the Wi-Fi connectivity. And if we also go into the home screen of this speed test, we can see that they both are on the same server to test that internet. So I don't know what the issue is, but what you can see clearly is the same. Once again, finally, just to confirm it, I'll do the test once again in front of you guys. Now the same on this one. Okay, this is clearly an issue. There's a jitter. There's a jitter of 3 millisecond, not 1 millisecond, and also you can see that the download and upload speeds both are slower when compared to the Xiaomi Mi 10i. So one of the major concerning issues that we find out right now in this test is that with the internet speeds, there's some issue, because even though both are having the same chipset and the same modems, basically, there's no similarity in the internet speeds. So that's one difference. And now the conclusion here is, I would clearly, based on whatever is being offered on both the phones, except for the fact that there is MIUI, I would say the Xiaomi Mi 10i is clearly a winner over the Moto G 5G, because you can see that it has a 120Hz display, Gorilla Glass 5 protection, a glass back, and a better looking design on the back of the device. It has dual stereo speakers as well. There's 33-watt fast charging support, and there's that HM2 sensor on the back of the phone. The only advantage that the Moto G 5G here clearly has is that it has stock Android. For users who don't really like MIUI, that's the only advantage that you see on the Moto G 5G. Otherwise, the Mi 10i is clearly a clear shot winner over the Moto G 5G in almost every case, and in that speed test comparison as well, there's not a huge difference between the two phones most of the time. And even with the game loading, you have seen that the Xiaomi Mi 10i was a faster device, and also with that internet speeds. Again, it's quite weird, but we'll have to test it out again slowly later and see whether those findings are going to remain the same or not. So that's it guys, this was the comparison of the Xiaomi Mi 10i and the Moto G 5G smartphones. I hope you like this video. If you do, share and subscribe to Gizmo for more. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.